What would you do if you saw you die? And then we take a look at the story of a young woman out on vacation with her family, visiting old castles in Europe. But while walking the castle grounds, she experiences an odd feeling flow through her body. Little does she know she's about to become possessed by the cantankerous old spirit of a long-dead groundskeeper. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too. I hope you guys have some awesome plans for the weekend. We got a ton of stuff to cover today, so first off, running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command, everyone get on your feet and give it up for one of our show supporters, Blair Drungle. Woohoo, yeah, wee, haha, yeah, woo, yeah. She's all walking on in, a little confused because, like so many times on this show, thank you guys for standing by me. I found her name on a list. I found her name on a list of show supporters that I don't know if they ever got their shout out. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I'm not for sure, and I don't remember what she did to get on the list. It's my wanted list, the people I have to find to earn a reward. But Blair, however you supported the show, whether it was financial through the Patreon or the merch store, or spreading the word, that works for us as well. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. That is how you can help the show grow. Blair Drungle, let's go ahead. Oh wait, actually, before we leave Dead Rabbit Radio Command, I got a couple quick announcements. First off, do you hear that? No, not the loud classic rock music coming from my neighbor's house. He usually listens to just one really loud song a day, and I'm hoping that that's about to end soon. But do you hear this? You go, no, I don't, Jason. Well, good. I'm putting words in your mouth. I bought a studio fan to keep me cool during the long summer recording session, so hopefully you didn't hear anything. That's the goal, because otherwise I'm just sweating the whole time I'm doing these shows, and not in a good way. It's not like a good, healthy sweat. It's a gross, my clothes are sticking to me sweat. Also, quick reminder, May 30th is our Dead Rabbit Radio movie night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to join, you can sign up for the Patreon either as a paid member or a free member. We have a free tier on our Patreon, and sign up for that if you want to join our movie night. It's always a lot of fun. Okay, Blair, let's go ahead and get this party started. I'm going to toss you the keys to the Jason Jalopy Let's Go Classic. Everyone climb on board this rickety old chitty chitty bang bang car. As Blair drives us out of Dead Rabbit Radio Command, we're going to head all the way down to the local morgue. Driving all the way out to the morgue. We're about to take a look at the story of this young man. We don't have his real name. We'll call him Nolan. Nolan has worked at the mortuary for a long time, so he's, seen it all. Until tonight. Tonight is going to be quite a different tale for Nolan. Nolan drives out to the medical examiner's office to pick up the body. And when he gets there, it's all routine for him. It's nothing super shocking. He's been through this 100, if not 1,000 times at this point. He knows what to do. He takes the body, and with the body comes a receipt. And what that is, it's basically like a listing of all the items that are in the body bag. So first one is dead male. He's like, oh yeah, figured that. But then it will list things that the man may have had on him when he died, or had with him when he died. So watch, smartphone, pants, shirt, I keep naming stuff, hat. He had a nice hat on when he died. He was dressed to the nines. Nolan goes to pick up the body, gets the receipt, and he finds out that the man had committed suicide. A lot of horrible ways to die. I used to work in the crematory industry a long, long time ago. Every so often stuff gets to you, but usually doesn't. You usually just kind of get a backbone. That's probably the wrong term, right? I'm all swinging around two backbones. I'm like, come and get me, look at me. I'm Michelangelo. I remember once, I don't know if I should even be telling this story, so I might have told this one before. I remember once, because my dad owned the crematory. I worked there a couple summers a long time ago, but on this particular time, I was down visiting for Thanksgiving. We got a bag of medical waste. My dad goes, okay, I'm going to warn you, Jason. I'm going to unzip this bag. And medical waste is anything the hospital can't, like, chuck into a dumpster. It has to be cremated. It's not just it's a barrel of radiation roll. Happy Thanksgiving as our bones melt. It's body parts, medical waste. And he goes, I'm gonna warn you right now, Jason, we're gonna unzip this bag. He goes, it could be a bag of hands. It could be a bunch of eyeballs. It could be anything in here. He goes, sometimes they're rotten. I don't think that's the word he used. He didn't say rotten. But, decayed. Dude, wouldn't that be horrible to smell like a moldy human body? And to see it would probably be even worse. But anyways, he getting ready to unzip the bag. He's like, what's your over-under? What do you think? You think we got an eyeball bag? We're going to play marbles after this? He didn't make these jokes, by the way. He didn't joke around about his business. He was very, very serious about his business. I'm the one making the jokes. He goes, I'm going to unzip this bag. I don't know what's in it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, fair. And he unzipped it, and it was a old man, probably in his 70s or 80s, who had been chopped into bits. Medically. You could tell that the slices were of such precision that this was either the most OCD serial killer or just first-time killer. He spent all of his time cutting one body. He's like, wow, this is a lot of work. I plan on killing like 10 or 12 people in the next couple of years, but I give up. He's all making sure every cut's exactly precise. It almost looked like a man had been medically separated because the cuts were so good. My guess would be that he donated his body to science. And let me back up, too, because we didn't know what was in the bag. Me being me, I grabbed a mallet. I go, well, you don't know, there might be a zombie. My dad was like, quit talking about zombies all the time. You work here. Don't talk about zombies. I wasn't working there then, but I did always talk about zombies. Zombies this, zombies that. I go, but we don't know. You just told me it could be anything in the bag, including the living dead. That's anything. So I had a mallet, like a rubber mallet. And he opened the bag up, and it was a old man who had been chopped up in a bunch of different parts. It was interesting. You could look at it. It was one side that, we're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving in a couple hours, and here this old man will never celebrate another Thanksgiving. He's just an assemblage of body parts in a bag. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that is true, right? That first part is true. But secondly, if my theory is correct and he donated his body to science, you go out and you give back. I'm an organ donor. I think other people should be organ donors. It's nothing I look down on people if they don't do it. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that they let you die to take your organs early. I don't believe that is true. I don't know why you pause there. I was like, well, I do believe in a lot of crazy conspiracy theories. Why don't I believe in that one? But, yeah, I mean, what a great gift, right, to give back. And maybe he was just maybe the doctors wanted to try out their new power saw, but still, he donated his body to science. At least that's what I thought. These cuts were too precise. And the other way to look at, so he's giving back to the community. He's giving thanks, in a way. And then the third way to look at it is we're all going to die anyways. None of us are going to be able to see every holiday possible. We're going to die and we're going to miss a Thanksgiving, we're going to miss a birthday, we're going to miss a Christmas. And that's okay. That's just the process of life and death. And I believe after you die, your soul continues on. So it's not a big deal. It's sad, sure, but not the end of the world. Well, anyways, I had the rubber mallet and I was like, dude, look, his windpipe. And I start like kind of nudging the guy's head with the mallet so I could get a better view of the windpipe. And my dad looked at me and he goes, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't touch it. It's a human body. It's a human body. This guy's dead. Quit touching it with the mallet just because you can see, just to get a better view of his windpipe. And we ended up cremating the remains. And then we went home and had a big Thanksgiving dinner. I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry, man. Work makes me so hungry. Everyone's like, what? It's like, can I get extra bone on my turkey? Just give me the bones. Just give me the bones. I'm cutting them in half with ultra precise precision. It's just part of the job, right? But here's the thing. There are deaths that affect you. I saw stuff there that I still think about from time to time today. Just, people die. And so many people die in so many different ways. Usually it's the same stuff: automobile accidents, drug overdoses, disease. Every so often, though, you come across something that really kind of tugs at your heartstrings. And one of the ones that would always affect people in the mortuary business, I shouldn't say always, but more likely than a car accident, than disease, than drug overdose, suicide. That is always kind of a struggle that people in the mortuary business have. Nolan gets this body, suicide victim, takes a look at the inventory, everything that's in the bag, doesn't open the bag. I'm not going to do that at the medical examiner's office. He'll go when he takes it back to the mortuary, go through the receipt and see if everything's in the bag that's supposed to be in the bag. Begin the proceedings on their end. Picks up the body, takes it back to mortuary. Now it's time to double check the receipt. So he grabs the slip and he's looking at it and he unzips the body bag. He gasps. Nolan sees himself. He said it was almost an exact copy. We were the same age, same facial features, same long hair. That would be enough to kind of throw you back on your heels. But it wasn't just that. He goes, this man in the body bag not only was the same age, not only did he look like me, he had the same style of tattoos in similar spots that Nolan himself had. It's him. It's his double. His doppelganger. But it might be even worse than that. Nolan's looking down at this body. This lifeless man laying there is a replica of himself. He's just stunned. Nolan's staring in silence, his mind processing everything. When all of a sudden the embalmer walks into the room. Hey, Nolan, how's it? Dude, that guy looks just like you. Nolan looks up at the embalmer, looks back down at the body. It really did look like Nolan was lying in that body bag. Now, this is a simple story if you think about it. It's creepy, right? I mean, it's definitely simple. It's fairly short, but it's creepy. And it's layered in such a way that just makes it creepier and creepier. First off, what I was saying earlier, I go, this is his double, his doppelganger, and it could be even weirder or creepier than that. This guy could have been Nolan's best friend. They looked like they had everything in common. They looked like, had they met years earlier out at some nightclub, or years earlier than that when they were both in high school or college, they probably would have clicked. They probably would have laughed that they looked alike and people would have been like, hey, are you two brothers? But the fact that, the tattoos, that is such a personalized part of you. For people to have similar style tattoos, already that can create a link. It's a conversation. You guys can talk about it. Why do you have that tattoo? Why do you have that tattoo? Why do you have that tattoo? But the fact they were even in the same places on this dead man's body as they were on Nolan's, again, shows that their decision-making skills were so equal that had they met before this event, they probably would have been best friends. There was a connection there that was never made. So you have that. Secondly, you have this idea of suicide. You look at someone that looks like you, pulled out of a fiery car accident. I mean, you'd be like, oh my God, this is horrifying. This guy looks just like me. And he was out driving and a drunk driver slammed into him and it killed him. Wow. That'd be one thing. But if you got a body that looked just like you, I'll tell you this, there was another guy who worked at the crematory. He was older than me, but he had lived in the area where the crematory was his entire life. Let's call him Chucky. I don't remember his name. We'll call him Chucky. So Chucky started working at the crematory, and he grew up in the area that crematory was in. I've always been moving every couple of years, so I never really laid deep roots. And Chucky was in like his late 30s, early 40s. And he would be the guy who would go out and pick up the bodies and bring them back to the crematory. And what would happen over time? Now, Chucky, was an average dude. He liked to drink, he liked to smoke, liked to hang out, liked to party. But as he continued to work at the crematory, what would happen was he would go pick up a body and he'd be driving through a neighborhood and he goes, I remember this neighborhood. And he'd be driving down the street and he goes, I remember this street. And pulls up to a house and he goes, I know who lives there. And it would turn out that one of his teenage friends who was crashing on his mom's couch ended up dying of cirrhosis of the liver. Same age as Chucky. Chucky's picking him up, putting him in a bag, taking him to the crematory. Young woman he knew from high school dies from cancer. A dude he used to kick it with back in the day killed in a drunk driving accident, and he was the driver. He watched all of the decisions that he had been making over the course of years and decades start to pick off the people he grew up with one by one. It wasn't long after working at the crematory that he stopped smoking and drinking. Now imagine that you look at someone who looks just like you who has killed himself. I think that would make everyone go, is there something I need to be aware of? Should I go get counseling? I think everything's okay. But here's this young man my same age who looks like me, who most likely acted like me based on like his tattoos. Even the jewelry that was on the receipt was the style of jewelry that Nolan wore. Even if you didn't think you had any issues with depression or suicidal ideation or anything like that, the same way that Chucky stopped smoking and drinking, I think Nolan might have been like, what could have led to this? Now, you're never going to know the answer to that question, but would you take preemptive action? I don't know if you can just go to a counselor and say, well, no, everything's great, I'm not depressed now, and I've never suffered from depression, but someday I might, and I want to get on top of it. And it would be even doubly more concerning if Nolan had issues with depression and suicidal ideation and all of that stuff as well. Nolan said, he worked in the mortuary industry for years and years and years. And he goes, to this day, that's still the only case that he has nightmares about, or ever had nightmares about. Out of all the gruesome things that he had seen, that was the only thing that rattled his cage enough that he would have nightmares about it. And he continues to have those nightmares to this day. And the nightmares are all the same. He's in the body bag. And he watches the zipper go get pulled down. And sees this man, this double, looking down at him. And then he wakes up. Blair, Drungle, let's go ahead and toss you the keys to the world. Famous Carpenter Copter, we are leaving behind the mortuary. Why don't you fly us all the way out to the United Kingdom? Do you hear that? You don't. My fan, I think, is working. I'm going to turn it up a bit and see if you guys can hear this. Probably. I think you guys can hear that. Let me turn it back down, but I have to go all the way up. I wish I could have it on that high. Let's go back to calm mode. Okay. We're headed all the way out to the United Kingdom. We're about to meet a young woman. We don't have her real name. We're going to call her Clara. She's 16 years old, and she is traveling with her family through Britain. This story takes place about 20 years ago, so we'd be in the early 2000s. Clara's traveling with her family, and while they're on this trip, they're doing all the touristy things. That includes visiting a castle. I'm not a big traveler. I used to move all the time. I think that's made me travel averse. I'm not a huge fan. I like castles. They're cool, but I don't know if I'd want to, like, go to one. Definitely not after this story. Definitely not after this story. But, you know, I'm not against castles. I think they're cool looking, and there's cool sword fights on them and stuff like that. Clara is with her family. They're out in Britain. They're checking out these castles. And this particular castle was an old one, at least 800 years old. Older than America. Crazy to think about. Clara and her family are walking around the castle grounds, and that is when she is hit with this bizarre sensation. She didn't say that she didn't say that she moaned. We're just adding a little sound effect in. She said she was walking when all of a sudden she felt this cold wind appear out of nowhere. And it seemed to penetrate her skin. It went deep down into her bones. And that's when she could begin to hear someone else's thoughts in her own mind. Oh, the governor wants me to sweep the moat again. Oh, the governor. She's like, what? What was that? Oh, my bones. No, pip, and all that stuff. I did seen with me own peepers what the governor does. The governor wants the hay bale tax to go up. Oh. And she's like, where are these thoughts coming from? Why does he keep calling him the governor? Wouldn't it be a prince or a king in this castle? Nobody likes old McMaster, man. Nobody likes me. I guess it's time to go dust the drawbridge. She hears all these thoughts of someone who, A, doesn't seem to have been raised in Britain at any time period, the worst accent possible. But 2, they're not her. Even if it had a proper British accent, it wouldn't matter. She's been possessed by something. And it's not just that. That might be okay. It's not okay if you are suffering from this. Go see a spiritual leader or a medical professional or both. It's not okay that she got possessed, but it's not just a mental possession. When this thing entered her, she feels its pain. Her bones do start to ache. The way you imagine that an old, beat-down man's body must have felt 700 years ago. Long working days, sleeping on piles of pigs, no ibuprofen, no aspirin to be found. Be in pain all the time. It'd be horrible. Not only could Clara feel the pain of this new presence inside of her, she also had a need, or an urge, might be a better word, to hunch her back and start limping. And she really tried fighting against this. Her family's like, Clara, we can't take you anywhere. Last time we went to Disneyland, you got possessed by Daisy Duck. The family, they must have seen what was going on. They seen Clara going, get out of my head, get out of my head. And then her back starts to hunch over. Because Clara said I couldn't fight it. I couldn't fight this urge to hunch over and start limping. And I did. She goes, I kind of started limping around. Her family's leaving. They're like, oh, well, see you later, Clara. We should have left her at Disneyland. After she laid that egg, she's hunched over now and she's walking around the castle grounds. Clara said the sensation was so powerful, she could feel her spine start to warp out of shape. She starts hunchback walking around the castle grounds. And she said this voice was kind of going through this monologue about what a terrible job he had. And how he never got to stop working and his boss really sucked. And it's just going on and on and on. And at one point, Clara found herself getting closer and closer to this wall. There's this stone wall there. Oh yes, dove soup. I hear the king likes dove soup this time of year. Oh, if only I had soup. If only I had flavored liquid, but no, nothing for good old McMaster man. Oh, I'll just walk through this archway, and I'll bring the king dove soup. But Clara's like, that's clearly not an archway. That's actually a stone wall. And she gets to it, and she's kind of like trying to walk through it. I'd be taking her on vacation everywhere. It's like, where can we take her to get possessed next? What would be the coolest place? NASA! Maybe she'll get possessed by an alien, or a meteorite even. She's just laying on the ground. She's trying to walk through this wall, and she can't, because the ghost hasn't given her any special powers. I mean, it did misshape her spine, so that's one thing. She can't walk through this wall. Apparently, according to Clara, where this wall is now, it used to be an archway. So you used to be able to walk through that path 500 years ago. Clara said, I couldn't stop this. I didn't even know how it started. Just this cold wind entered me, and now I'm walking around looking like a lunatic with all these thoughts in my head. And she goes, it continued on for a while, until finally, Clara said she continued to wander the grounds of the castle until there was a area where there used to be a moat. And once she walked past that area, the sensation completely ended. The voice, the physical pain, the need to walk over like a hunchback, the misshapen spine, all of it just vanished instantly once she reached that point. She said, I don't know who it was who possessed me, just based on what he was talking about, that he was someone of really, really, really low status. She said, in fact, it's like he wasn't even allowed to go into the castle. He was someone who cleaned up the courtyard. But he wasn't even groovy enough to get into the castle itself. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I read that account online, I had a good chuckle. And I go, that's fake. I think it's fake. Do I think that now? No. What's interesting, though, is I read this, I chuckled, I go, that's not real. I went back and I reread it, and I laughed even harder the second time, and I go, this isn't real. I don't think this is real. However, I'm going to do my due diligence. At this point, I had read it twice. Usually I just dismiss stuff, because I have to read probably 100 stories to get the 10. That's not an exaggeration either. I read 100 different stories to get the 10 we cover in a week. I go, I've already read it twice. I'm going to see if I can find out for sure this isn't real, just for my own peace of mind. And what I found was so terrifying that not only now do I think this story is 100% real, I think she does not know how real it is. Well, she probably knows how real it is. That was the wrong thing to say. I don't think she realized the tragic implications of this story on her life today. I looked through her posting history. She doesn't tell a bunch of crazy ghost stories that I've never heard before. That's a huge sign that what they're saying actually is true. So I went into her account. Not only does she not tell all these other crazy paranormal stories, she, to this day, posting April 28th, 2025. I'm not trying to be rude here, but she is riddled with disease. And according to her, most of these are fairly recent diagnoses. She's an adult now. This is long after the trip to this castle. She says that she's been diagnosed with neuropathy and brain fog. That she's been diagnosed with epilepsy, interstitial cytisis? I don't even know what that is. It sounds horrible, though. Degenerative disc disease, which I'm not a doctor by any means, but I would imagine if your spine was bent out of shape by a paranormal force hundreds of years dead, it's probably going to throw your back out. You're probably going to have some problem with the little discs in between your vertebrae. Degenerative disc disease, she has something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder. And I guess there's a rumor that Michael Jackson had this. They think that may be how he was able to dance so cool, because when you have this disorder, you have hypermobility in your joints. Which, as a dancer, sounds awesome. But as a human in any other field, it means your joints are loose. So good luck running track and field. Good luck working at the iron mill. You're hitting levers and you're pulling, and everyone's like, "That, keep doing it, Johnny. You're moving that oil, you're moving boiling oil, perfect." And then all of a sudden your elbows give out and you're all, "Oops. Johnny, what'd you do?" Time to get another job, Johnny. Loose joints. As well as not super, okay, now I'm exaggerating, not super. The other symptom of this Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is stretchy skin. So you're not Mr. Fantastic. You don't have superpowers, although technically you're almost him because your joints are loose and your skin is stretchy. But in all the worst ways possible. Don't try catching burglars by wrapping your arms around them. They'll probably just rip through your flesh. I wonder if her life would have been completely different had she not walked onto these castle grounds. I wonder if that spirit didn't disappear when she reached the site of the former moat. I wonder if the spirit simply dug its heels in. Its worn out, bloody, calloused heels. And instead of an instant transformation with her mind being clouded over by this voice just speaking inside of her skull, besides the instant curvature of the spine, the hunched over, the pain in the joints, the slow moving around, it stopped being an instant and became a lifetime. Was this more than a possession? Was it actually a curse? And I think it could even go further than that as well. Looking through her posting history, she hates working. And you go, "Well, Jason, everybody does." Everybody does. Not everybody does, but a lot of people do. But here's the thing. It's not just, I don't like getting up in the morning to go to work. My job's totally fine. I got cool coworkers. I can do it on most days. Some days I'm just ready to quit. That's fair. It's not just that you hate work. It's that Clara seems to have bad luck at work. When she tells this story, people post everything online. Just back in late 2024, she was having health issues. I mean, obviously, she's going to have a hard time getting around. She was having health issues. She works a retail job. And her job was, she actually didn't say exactly what her job was, but her job let her sit in a chair and do her work because she has all of this pain when she's moving around. Good, awesome, accommodating the worker. I'm totally on board. Then the boss sells the business to one of the managers or one of the employees at the business. They buy it, and one of the first changes they make is, "Clara, you can't use that chair anymore. You have to get up and walk around and stand like the rest of us." She can't. So she loses her part-time retail job. On top of it, she says, "I'm broke. I have absolutely no money, and all of the expenses are piling up. In fact, where she lives, they need a new HVAC. They need to get their heating and air conditioning online, and it's completely kaput, and they can't afford to pay for it." She's posting about that in wintertime. Now summer's coming up. You go, "Jason, that's the story of people all over the world." And you're right. A lot of people, millions of people, billions of people, really, can suffer from all of these same things. Have some of these diseases, have this work issue, have bad bosses who mistreat you, have money issues, feel like when you look out on the world that you are trapped in a lower status. You are trapped at the bottom rung of society. So much so you can't even stay cool during the summer and warm during the winter. I would argue a lot of people have money problems, for sure, and a lot of people have work problems, for sure. But I think the sample size gets smaller and smaller and smaller when you include all of these muscle diseases and bone diseases and brain fog and all of this. And that sample size may get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's only one person. One person who took a fun trip to the United Kingdom when she was 16 years old and was possessed by the spirit of a poor, downtrodden, broken old man who hated his job and hated his boss. Clara's life may have been completely different had she not set foot on these castle grounds. And that idea, that moment changed her life forever, spiraled her out into physical and mental pain and economic pain. Bad job after bad job after bad job. Never having enough money. Always just getting by. And even then, there's no comfort in your life. Just like that old man felt every single day of his life as he worked on the castle grounds. The fact that that one trip could have changed everything for her is something that should terrify both paranormal researchers and normal people alike. An entire life could be derailed just because one day you decided to check out an old castle. Would her life have been better had she not gone there? We don't know. We can only hope that from this moment on, Clara finally finds some physical, mental, and economic peace. And to be fair, not just her, right? Not just her. You're like, oh, my bones hurt too, Jason. My bones hurt. I was in a car accident. And it costs a lot of money. Where's my economic? And everybody, I wish everybody physical, mental, spiritual, and economic peace as we go into this weekend. deadrabbitradio@gmail.com is going to be your email address. You can also hit us up at facebook.com/deadrabbitradio. TikTok is @deadrabbitradio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm so glad you listened to it.